How are we doing? Case dismissed. So I wanted to talk about being sold a pup. Being sold a pup is a phrase used in the motor trade, and it means that basically the car's been, you bought a car, it's been misrepresented, like there's something wrong with it which they haven't told you about. That is what sold a pup means. So let's have a look. So we're being sold a pup. That means the car was misrepresented. In this case, we weren't told about the drive shaft fault that it had, that the dealer, MG, everybody knew about. So they didn't tell us that it had this particular problem. It had a drive shaft fault. It's basically the drive shafts are not balanced properly, and MG decided to throw them out as they were, not bother to fix them. And it's been a problem what's plagued this MG X-Power since 2023, and as far as I know, it's not solved. And they keep throwing them out and they keep selling them to customers, which is wrong in my book. So I'm going to go a bit deeper into what being sold a pup means. It stems from, fuck knows what year, but when they were selling suckling pigs at market. And what these market traders were doing were putting in a puppy in a bag rather than the suckling pig the customer expected. And a lot of them didn't realise this until they got it home. And then they had the surprise, the pup. So that's where the phrase comes from, sold a pup. There's also another description that I can give to this vehicle, and that's, I was sold a lemon. A little bit of history. In America, they have this thing called lemon laws. And lemon laws were brought in to protect customers from being sold a lemon or a faulty car. So a lemon means a faulty car. And lemon laws were those laws, or the laws in America, that are there to protect the customer. Now here in the UK, we have laws which so far have not protected me. The companies involved have done every single thing they can to worm out of it. So the latest update on that is we had a view from the Ombudsman which said, as I've said all along, that the car was misrepresented. They didn't tell me about the fault when they sold me it. And also, this fault is a fault because the car was independently inspected and they found it to be a fault. But even even though the independent inspection, which the finance company arranged, said it was a fault, the finance company still denied everything. So now we've got the Ombudsman view on it. I've basically had to drop court action because the Ombudsman will not risk a different view to the courts. But generally, the Ombudsman and the courts agree. So the Ombudsman has said that Oodle Finance have to pay me back 50% of the payments that I've made, plus a £7,000 deposit that I gave to them, and to take the car back at no cost to me. Even though they've seen that view, they still tried to worm out by claiming that it's going to court, even though I've dropped everything. So if we didn't think being sold a pup was bad enough, they decided to double down and sell me a pup and a lemon at the same time. The pup part of it being the fault that they didn't tell me about. Then afterwards they said it wasn't a fault, it was a characteristic, which we know are bullshit. And then the lemon part being that particular fault that makes the car basically undrivable at 60 miles an hour. It's not of satisfactory quality. So if you want to buy an MG X-Power, you've got to take into account that, according to the Ombudsman, it's not of satisfactory quality with this drive shaft fault. You get up to around 50 miles an hour, the car starts to vibrate and make excessive noise. Now the independent inspection clearly stated this, but the finance company who I was taken to court continued to deny it. Put me through massive stresses, hours and hours, collating paperwork, going through the court process, stress, increased drinking, increased gambling, just causing me major problems. Now I'm probably never going to get back or get any sort of compensation for that. Although the Ombudsman is recommending 250 quid compensation. And I appreciate everything that the Ombudsman is saying and doing. So hopefully, even though Oodle are still playing for time and denying things, they will eventually decide to do what the Ombudsman says. And if not, there is a process. You fill out a form, a 5332, I'm not sure exactly on the number. That's the number, but the letters. N5332 maybe. If you fill out one of those forms with an Ombudsman's final decision, then it can be enforced without a further hearing in court. So the Ombudsman decisions are quite useful. I hope it doesn't get to that, but Oodle needs to step up and admit that they were wrong. And if you've seen my previous videos, you've seen what I've had to put up with, the lies coming from the dealer, my bank and the finance company, the cover-ups, the lies. The people would have given up, and that's what they're preying on. They're hoping that you will just give up and walk away. But I'm not that person. If I believe I'm in the right, I will go all the way and I'll do whatever is necessary. Legally, whatever. And that's what I've continued to do. So until that car goes back and there's a cheque in my bank, then I won't rest. But it shouldn't have had to come to this. The finance company, the bank, the dealer, they all knew about this, and it's clearly stated on an MG email and the MG document, the technical bulletin which they use to repair the vehicle. It's clearly stated that they knew about this fault, but they continued to sell these cars and they continued to chuck them out of the factory. It just needs to be highlighted. Now the truth is out there. They've tried to cover it. Remember on my video where the dealer threatened me and they threatened my employer? That was all an attempt to silence me, because I believe they knew that they were wrong, but they just tried to gaslight me and reckoned that it was me all along. But I never accepted that. I continued. I wasn't afraid of their threats that they put down. So here we are today. Hopefully it'll be resolved soon. So I'm not going to mention the dealer who originally sold me this car, because the liability for all this lands on the finance company, which is Oodle. So bear in mind, if you have a dispute with Oodle, you're likely to get the same reception as what I did. Even though the independent inspection was in my favour, Oodle continued to deny everything. There's the car. Yes, I was sold a pup and a lemon at the same time. Another little story for you coming up. So this other little story, because I wasn't getting anywhere with the dealer that I was with on repairing the car, I brought it down to the local MG dealer. I live in Liverpool. I don't have anything there. I want to got my card. Sorry. Oh, no. Sorry, mate. So, I brought my car down to the local MG dealer And these were also in denial of this problem. And what they do is they try to charge you 160 quid diagnosis fee, and if there's nothing wrong with it, or in their eyes there's nothing wrong with it, they still charge you 160 quid for doing nothing. Now this local dealer, they tried to do this with me. Before the car even went in, they denied that there was a problem with it. So I said, well, it's not coming in then, if you're just going to charge me, because you're already denying that these cars suffer with a vibration fault. They all knew about it. They were under instructions. They were under instruction from MG. They knew very well. What's interesting though is this dealer doesn't seem to stock any of those models. I might be wrong, but I've just had a quick glance. So is that because they know that there's a problem? Please like, share, subscribe, help this video get out, and warn others about these kind of finance companies and car dealers. Case dismissed. Out.